We've got all our speakers here now, so once again, it's your chance to quiz the speakers and find out how they've been successful, or how they can solve your problem. Yes, just here.
My question is to either Sonia or Kim. Sonia, you mentioned there's more of a need for industry to be involved in the area of biosecurity. Do you feel it's clear what the role is of government in biosecurity and the role of industry is in biosecurity, and how best can the two work together?
Thanks for your question, Kim. When we sort of talk about biosecurity, it's supposed to be a shared responsibility between industry and government. So, in terms of government, I see DAFWA's role as doing a lot of for example, we would support things to support market access. So, for example, we're doing Queensland fruit fly trapping. We're doing trapping in the Ord. We can also do things like surveying. We're also actually adding on things to show that to other states and to other countries that we're free of certain pests. For example, citrus canker and the citrus psyllid. So that's what government can do. But in terms of what growers can do, there's apart from them being on committees to actually review things like the national plans, so you'd be aware of national plans for citrus as well as our state plan for citrus. So that's some of the sort of collaboration that we need from growers. Also, growers being willing to do their own surveillance, do their own monitoring. So you're the best place to determine if you've got something that doesn't look right. We can't do that for you. We haven't got the staff to do that for you. So that's where we really want growers to sort of step up. And we also want growers to implement on-farm biosecurity, so that they actually start protecting themselves from biosecurity threats, such as not letting people onto their farms unless they have to ring a certain number, so gates being closed, washdown facilities, for example, just simple things like that. So I think we both have parts to play in biosecurity. Does that answer your question? Sorry. Thanks, Mick. And I think in some circumstances we probably need to work together to actually figure out what we can do that you can't do, and what you can do that we can't do. So I think in some cases there'll be sort of we need to negotiate, and also with a lot of like, what do you actually want to do? So for example, if you're looking at area freedom, in certain areas it might be that growers need to actually put in money for trapping programs, or they need to prove that they haven't got certain pests on their own properties, and some growers are already doing that for market access. So I think it's a negotiation process in some cases.
It's like being involved in a title fight, 15 rounds. We're in the first round, and both boxers are feeling each other out to see where the weaknesses and where the strengths are and what they need to do to beat the other guy. So it's still developing. Do we have any other questions? Thank you. Yes, in the middle here. And remember, #HortUpdate17, please.
Dr. Hardy, it's not a question, just a comment on Bravo apples. You're telling apples are so good. When I look into the price, I will think 10 times, well, shall I buy Pink Lady? Why shall I buy Bravos? I'll quote you an example. If you go to buy Queen Garnet plums, they're selling $15 kilo, people move away. This is double the price. But they got a pamphlet which sells Queen Garnet is the richest source of antioxidants, total anthocyanins. So they are giving comparison that you're paying double the price. In addition to that, that plum variety got a nutritional value compared to the blueberries. So I'll think blueberries $40 to $50 kilo. Why not I buy the Queen Garnet? And similarly in Bravos, this is my suggestion. I'm not a marketing expert. I work in science. If you're selling Bravos at double or more than double the price of normal apple, you should give that pamphlet there that Bravo apples contains double the amount of antioxidant. They contain double or triple the amount of vitamin C. So if that's a comparison, then you can convince a consumer like me to buy Bravo apple as compared to Pink Lady. Otherwise, most of the people are addicted to Pink Lady. Thank you.
Okay. Can't go to drinks yet. You haven't been good. We need some more questions.
Can we answer that?
Yes, you can. I thought it was a comment, but go for it.
Sure. I appreciate the statement. I guess in terms of pricing it, what I was trying to explain before is we don't just sort of come up with a price. I mean, that's what the market is willing to pay for at the moment. And yeah, we completely agree with all the health attribute information that's to come out. And I guess all I can say to that is that you can't just say, and I'm sure everyone knows the rules about health claims, you have to be able to verify it, and so that's the process that we're going through at the moment. So I expect that when that comes up, that will just, further increase the demand and hopefully maintain those pricings that we're able to get at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. We're currently doing work in that realm, and we are very close to being able to make some claims that we're going to you'll hear about very soon.
Okay, no, that man's got his elbow up, not his hand. He's thinking. No, he has. Yes, he's bidding.
Just on the Bravo apple, what's the storage life on it after it's been cut? Because I know you're saying it's non-browning.
Ooh.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, I'm not sure who's saying non-browning. I think there was some comments.
It is slow to oxidise. That's things we have noticed about it, but we wouldn't say it was non-browning. And we're still doing. Obviously, it's only the second year of commercial growing, so we're still learning a lot about the storage. But we're doing a lot of work in that. But it's looking really good. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yes, we have. That's Paul Carmody.
Thank you. My question is in relation to Alana's comment this morning about the barriers that we're experiencing in the state of trade in terms of biosecurity and impact on folks in the water industry. So it's that cross-industry contamination that can happen, and that impinges on other industries exporting in the state. So how the panel or specialists up there might see a way forward overcoming that treats the state as a barrier to a lot of our products.
Sonia and Kim, you can have a go.
Okay. Well, I think that the other states will also say that there's barriers to getting things into Western Australia that they need to overcome. But in terms of, if you're talking about the tomato potato psyllid, some of the issues there are that the other states, particularly New South Wales and Victoria, have basically compiled a list of plants that we don't believe to be real hosts of the psyllid. So we're taking this on two different levels. The first is that we're actually, with industry, developing a response to that host list. So basically saying, well, we don't believe this is a host, and there's a whole big list that we're going to be going through. So that's our first step. The second step is that we're looking at emergency measures so that the growers that are affected, that have orders from interstate buyers, as well as they just might need to fill orders as part of the floods, for example, that they're actually able to export. So we are working on it in the two levels, and as well as longer term, we'll be looking at what growers can actually do in terms of moving produce interstate. So we hope that within the next few weeks we'll be able to get the other states to accept that certain plants really aren't hosts of the psyllid. So examples are strawberries, corn, chickpeas, things like that. So that's what our department is doing with industry.
Go for it, John.
Just a question for you, Kim, just regarding market access and You talk about Kununurra being free from medfly, but the opportunities to get further freedom of Mediterranean fruit fly and regional freedom, what would be involved and what would be the benefits of doing that for industry?
Well, certainly, pest freedom is recognised in the under the World Trade Agreement and the SPS Agreement, and there's a number of ISPMs along those lines. So the benefits to not having fruit fly in a specific area is recognition by overseas countries and also other states that the pest is not in that area, that you can prove it's not in that area, and you have the surveillance and monitoring in place to give them comfort that they were not getting that pest from that area. So both for domestic trade and for international trade, the benefits are immense if we can work towards area freedom. And I think there's even some talk at the moment about the possibilities of looking at feasibility of eradicating medfly out of this state. And I think that if that ever happened, that'd be a wonderful incentive to get more market access in a whole lot of areas.
Thanks, Kim. Just on Paul's comment back there, from my perspective, I find that industry is still very fragmented. We'll get a particular pest, say Q-fly comes in and vegetables WA says it's a fruit pest. It's not a vegetable pest. And you look at green snails now. Grains industry says it's a horticultural pest. Don't worry about it. But now it's been found up at Beverley, and that is impacting on chaff and grains moving to the other states. So you're all in the same, playpen together. You need to work together. So you need to get linkages across the various different industries and build your biosecurity networks. That's my take on it anyway. Do we have any other questions? Come on, we must have some other questions. The food wasn't that good that, all the blood's gone to your stomach. It's dissolving that chocolate. Oh, here we go. Somebody's awake.
Okay, either to Sonia or Kim or to you. In relation to the green snail, the incident that's, now it's happened, the growers have been looking at their crops and they've been working out how much bait they need to put out. And the amount of bait is phenomenal in the kilos that they need, and I'm sure the manufacturers haven't got that availability at the moment. So for a off the cuff or a different kettle, could we not put beer out and let the snails have that? Wouldn't that be,
Death by beer. I think it takes a bit longer than death by pellets. Yeah. No, look, it'd be great if we had really bad beer in this state, but have you seen all those microbrews? They're fantastic. So, and that's where you've got old barley goes too. So, yeah, nice comment. We'll think about beer with insecticide or beer as an insecticide. Okay, now, serious questions? John's back. He's going to support beer.
Yeah. Not sure. It's really for Jenny and Nadia. How much do you rely on the product versus the marketing plan? And could you replicate this with other products that perhaps aren't as exceptional as the Dafwa and 01 Bravo apple?
To be honest, that's the first thing that most of our growers said. I said, "Oh God, we've got some Granny Smiths. Can you do that?" And I'm like, no. I mean, it's the Bravo is unique. So I was trying to go through those attributes to say it's so rare to see something. If you're designing a fresh produce thing that you want to market, and you think all the things that I want in a fresh produce thing that would separate it, that would make it stand out, Bravo has all of those, and most fresh produce items just simply don't. They're commodities. They don't have the security around it that you need to do something different, and they're grown by all over the country by vastly different quality systems, different packing methods, different retail methods. It's just, unless you have, it's not just that, the fruit is stunning, but the structure that sits around the fruit is equally critical. And then, I suppose, or I'd like to think as a marketer we've done a good job in extracting the value, but the fact is that the value was there. So it really the fruit's stunning, but the security that sits around it and the systems that sit around it are critical to the future of it.
Yeah, and could I just say, I think the brand is very, we've got to do everything to make sure that the brand sits there with the apple, and the apple backs up the brand and the brand backs up the apple. I think that's really, really important to have a successful product. And I think things are going that way these days. I think the product is very, very important with its branding. And I'd also like to say that within the apple industry, people are talking about apples again, and it's created some excitement around the whole line of apples, and we're, as an industry, I think it's really, really exciting.
Okay, that's great. Now, look, I realise why you're not getting so many questions, because everybody's feverishly filling in their feedback forms, right? That's what you're doing. That's why we've got no questions. You must have about finished your feedback form. So when we've all wrapped up here, and before you go to the drinks, can you drop them on the table at the back? Okay. Now, we've got time for a couple more questions. There must be. You've got to wait another year if you get your question. Yeah, here, come on, Paul.
Just on the positive side, I hate to see too many of these maps about pest control zones or exclusion zones when you're trying to convince investors to come to Western Australia. So I'd like to see more zeros maps. Where can we get some zero maps? Ken, thanks.
Yeah, because 0 is the most important number when it comes to biosecurity. And that's been very hard to sell. But we like people to report, I haven't found anything in my orchard this week. That'd be fantastic. And a couple of photos. Just use the My Pest Guide Reporter app. Yeah. Okay? Now, come on. Apart from Paul.
Can I just
yep.
add to that? As an example, I think if we could all look at Tasmania and the market access that Tasmania has been free of fruit fly, but they also have surveillance programs to say that they're free of codling moth and about 6 other pests of quarantine concern. So if you want an example, Tasmania has more zeros than anywhere else in Australia, and as a result they have more access to more markets than anywhere else in Australia. So your point about zeros is a very good one, and I think Tasmania is probably a very good example.
So Tasmania is the Australian New Zealand. Doesn't have a lot else besides apples and people, and they're marketing them really well. Okay, I will take one more question. Come on, got to wait a whole more year. Come on, that's good. I like it.
Hello, Liz Brennan from Mora Citrus. I have a question regarding, I'll probably use my farm voice, I don't need the microphone. I have a question regarding marketing around the Bravo apple, and in terms of the approach, I know Nadia you touched on, I guess, the different layers and the different audiences that you're working with. And I guess I'm interested in knowing where it is that you would invest your marketing dollar for the best return, so to speak, like whether you would deal with retailers or whether it would be targeting consumers, perhaps the different platforms that you would utilise. I guess I'm quite interested as to, because for many other products it is about trying to create that, not be price takers but makers, and I guess where would be the best spend to enable that? Or Jenny, you can answer that as well.
Well, we're actually going through that, and we haven't got the biggest budget ever at the moment, but we have identified some promotional activities that we're looking at this year, and we've invested in getting some very good branding photography and a chef on board, and we're looking at doing a retail media type launch in May, which will feature a 4-course meal using only Bravo apples, which we think will create a lot of excitement. We've also invested in social media around that, getting food bloggers involved and just getting a bit of hype around that. So that's, but we really want to take the grower along with us as well, because we really value the growers and we really want to see the growers benefit, or everybody to benefit, but particularly the growers that have backed this apple from the very beginning. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think it's a jolly good question. and not something we particularly have the answers to at this stage. I mean, it seems like social media seems to be a big, we can get a pretty good return for a low investment. The fact that it's a brand helps us talk to the end consumer to start with, which you don't often have the opportunity to do in fresh produce. And I think it's like anything, you have to invest. When you have that much budget, you need that much investment to get it, which flips around at the end. So, I'm hoping that the social media will do a lot, that these little pop-up events will do a lot, and that we'll try and stretch it as far as we can.
That's why we're trying to champion all these people around this brand and get so much more excitement out of it. And we've got, as I said, it's all about the passion at the end of the day, and sometimes passion's infectious, and we're hoping that's going to help us out.
I'd like you to thank the panellists for and their talks and part of the panel.
Thanks, Darryl. I won't keep you too long from the drinks, and looks like we'll have them early. And I would like to thank Veg WA for putting on the drinks. So just a couple of very quick ones. One point I do want to make is Sue talked about, sort of what's your objective, if you are exporting. I also want to talk about doubling the value, and I think both Maureen and Sue talked really well about some of the benefits. We talk about how do we double the value, but what that creates is more regional jobs, more vibrant communities, and that more positive and optimistic, our country towns and regional centres. And I think that's the broader benefit of doubling the value, and I think that's what we're after. So yes, it's about doubling the value and GVAP and GVIAP and gross margins, but at the end of the day, it's getting those critical mass in regional towns with more jobs, more technical jobs, and more vibrant regional communities. Otherwise, thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.